Welcome into our Spring Sports Show presented by Kroger. My name is Chip Walters. Glad to have you with us, this being the fifth in the series this spring of our Spring Sports Show. It'll be the last one. And today we'll be talking football with Coach Rick Stockstill and a couple of members of his staff. But first of all, I want to get you up to date on where things are from over the weekend. Just a couple of sports played over the weekend. Softball had the weekend off. Track and field was at Tennessee and competed up there all weekend. And the Blue Raider baseball team took on a really good Louisiana Tech team. They came in ranked number 16 in the country, and Tech was able to win 3 one-run games and one yesterday by a score of, or on Sunday rather, by a score of 6-1. The Blue Raiders still hanging right in there for a spot in the upcoming conference tournament, which will be later during the month of May. And with that, we mentioned that today we are talking Blue Raider football. Glad to have Coach Rick Stockstill joining us. And Stock, good to see you.
You too, Chip. How you doing, my man?
Doing good. Spring ball is over, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to go in a little bit deeper with your two coordinators today. But let's talk a little bit about just kind of where you feel like we are as here in May of 2021. As opposed to May of 2020, kind of as far as knowing what we can do, what we can do is hopefully getting toward the end of the COVID stuff.
Yeah, and I think we are, Chip. But, it was a really good spring. We had a good, winter workout program, which we had that last year. And then we did not have any spring or summer last year. So I feel like being able to have spring practice, we're a lot further ahead. And we're better than what we were at this time last year simply because of that, because, you have so many young guys that need a spring practice for their development and then also for us to, know what their strengths and what their weaknesses are. So I feel really good about where we are coming out of spring. We still have, a handful of holes that we have to fill, but I like where we're at and I like where we're headed. This week is final exams and, they'll go home for a couple, 3 weeks of May, and then we'll get started up in the summer on June 7th.
Yeah. When you describe 2020, what's the best way to describe? Was it unfulfilled or, because the season ended earlier than you wanted it to, and there was so much that was just moving parts and all of that. How do you describe it the way it made you feel? It
was just, obviously it was very stressful for everybody. It was out of the norm for college football coaches, for college football players, that you didn't have the structure. It changed daily. As a coach, as a team, you always deal with injuries and you have to adapt to that. But this was just the uncertainty of who was going to be there to practice today. I mean, there were times where, we didn't have, enough in our offensive line to practice. And I thought we did a good job of, keeping our guys safe. We didn't have that many positives. We got hit with the quarantine, the contact tracing. You lost so many guys, and at that time, if you were contact traced, you were longer in quarantine than you were if you tested positive for it. So it was very stressful. It just, you had guys out, you couldn't practice the way you wanted, you couldn't develop your team the way you wanted to. You couldn't meet with them the way you wanted to, so it was very stressful.
Reid Blankenship was the poster child for contact tracing last year. Tell folks what he went through leading up to the season, because it was crazy.
Yeah, I really felt sorry for Reid, and any player that has to go through that, he never tested positive, for the virus. But in the summer, once we got back, mid-June, 1st of July, he got hit with quarantine, contact tracing. So And then he's coming off an injury, a potential career-ending injury. It wasn't just a normal, couple weeks and I'm going to be back. His was a, catastrophic injury. And, so he lost the March, April, May, June time to rehab his injury. And then once he gets back, now he's stuck in quarantine or contact tracing. He's stuck in quarantine for, I think it was a total of 42 days. And, he'd be in for a week and a half, come back and he got hit again. Week and a half, come back. The next day, he practiced one day, in
before
August,
you played Army.
Before the week
okay.
of, he got back the week of Army. So he had practiced one day prior to the week of Army. And then that was his acclimatization period. He had to go through a couple practices of shorts, a couple practices of full shorts and shoulder pads, and then full practice. So, and then he goes out and plays a Division I college football game, and just my hat's off to him for what he went through.
Look forward for him to have a healthy year this fall. But you had a change in offensive coordinator. You also bring in a new wide receiver coach that you're very familiar with, and we talked about them on signing day. But with those changes and putting in a new offense this spring, give us your thoughts about, in general, how you thought spring ball went.
Chip, very pleased with spring. I thought,
great attitude.
Yeah, just a lot of positivity, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, that both Brents brought. And, so the good thing for us, for both Brents, that, we had most of our players coming back, and they had all their players coming back at their particular positions. So it was a very smooth, easy transition. Both of them have fit in well with the rest of the staff and with the team, and just there's a close camaraderie amongst our staff, and the players have adapted really well.
We'll be talking to Brent Dearman in just a minute, but when fans see this team on the field this fall, what will they notice about the offense being different from what they've seen before?
I think probably the big thing, Chip, is just the utilization of maybe a little bit more personnel groupings. And we got into some attached tight end. We got into some H-back formations here the last couple years, but probably a little bit more of that. And I hopefully, we're going to be a lot more productive in the running game from the running back position. Mm-hmm. And, with, the addition of Amir Razul and Martell Petaway and, Brad Anderson being back there now, that, I feel really good about our running back position, and hopefully that, we'll get more production from that position.
And on the defensive side, Scott's going to have a very veteran group on that side of the ball.
Yeah, we got, just about everybody coming back there. We've still got some improvement to make. We got to get better, at a couple positions there on defense. And, I feel confident that coming out of spring and then this summer and then having, August, hopefully having August like, we were used to having, that we'll be able to make that improvement.
Coach Rick Stockstill is here with us for the Spring Sports Show. We'll take a timeout, and Coach Brent Dearman will be joining us, followed by Coach Scott Shaffer, and then Stock will be back with us to wrap things up here at the end of the hour. It's the Spring Sports Show presented by Kroger. The Blue Raiders Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by the Daily News Journal. Read all about Blue Raiders sports in the D&J, Rutherford County's first source for news, sports, and much more. By Lewis Bakeries, bakers of Bunny, Sunbeam, and Healthy Life breads. By Grannis & Associates, certified public accountants specializing in business and personal accounting and tax services. And by Lee Company. For your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical, Lee Company is the team to call. The Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by Tri-Green Equipment, your John Deere dealer for Middle Tennessee and North Alabama. By InnerSource. If it's entertainment, it's InnerSource. By MTSU, named one of the best in the U.S. by the Princeton Review for a second year in a row. Become True Blue. By RJ Young, your go-to company for technology solutions that power your business. By Textbook Brokers and Lightning's Locker Room, the official game day provider powered by Textbook Brokers. And by State Farm agent Bud Morris. The Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by Ascension St. Thomas, the official hospital partner of MTSU. By Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, the #1 producing Exit Realty office in the United States. By Middle Tennessee Electric, your locally owned electric cooperative and trusted energy advisor. By the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, fans don't let fans drive drunk. By TOA, the official orthopedic coverage to Middle Tennessee Athletics. And by Roscoe Brown, the trusted name in heating, cooling, and plumbing. Welcome back into the Spring Sports Show, and we're always glad to be able to spotlight some of our great partners. And today we're going to talk about E3 Construction, and they have projects ranging from the airport expansion at BNA to the new Nashville SC Soccer Stadium. And Stephanie Evans is here. She is a true blue lady with E3 Construction. And Stephanie, glad to have you here today. Talk a little bit about what you guys are doing this year with Blue Raider Athletics as a partner, and also why we're here today to present a check to the BRAA.
Okay, Chip, so for the past 2 years, actually, we have partnered up with the MT Athletics, and they've put together some really great marketing promotions for our company, some of which the students were able to participate in. And today, this represents a sponsorship for the interceptions for the season.
That's right. We want to have a lot of interceptions, so that means good money here today. And in an abbreviated season, $1,000 goes to the BRAA. And David Blackburn is here from the BRAA. And David, what does it mean when our partners get involved like that and help student athletes directly like this?
Yeah, well, it's certainly tremendous, and want to thank Stephanie here for previous and certainly for this. It's wonderful. It contributes. It goes into our annual fund, which supports our student athletes, academic support, scholarships, you name it, and it sustains what we do. And so gifts like this are the bread and butter of what we need to do what we do with our student athletes.
Thanks again to Stephanie Evans with E3 Construction. They've been a terrific partner for the last couple of years. Well, as we move on in our football recap from the spring, let's get into the offensive side of the football. Brent Dearman is here, the new offensive coordinator. We'll be talking with him in just a couple of minutes. But first of all, let's catch up with one of the key returners for this fall, wide receiver C.J. Windham.
I think it gelled together really well. Coach Dearman came in with a great scheme, and he made it easy for us to learn. I found that to be the best part about all of it, making it easy to learn. You know, a lot of people were willing to come in and do extra and learn more, which also helped. I feel like there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of stuff up in the air come the end of the season time, and I feel like Coach Stark did a good job of bringing the right pieces in and bringing all of us together as an offense to come to work and be able to get what we need to get done. I really feel like the offense grew, and we have a lot of leadership in the offense, and it's a lot of people that have been here for a while now and stepped into their role in a great way in the spring. He did real well. I went up and told Coach Stark quite often that this is a great hire. This is something that you shouldn't be ashamed of, that you should be proud of. That Brent comes to work every day. He was like that when he was a player. And luckily I had a few years that I got to play with him. And, that mentality hasn't changed for him. He's definitely been locked into accomplishing our end goal for each receiver and us as a receiving corps. And I really feel like he makes it comfortable for us to come to work every day. Everybody likes coming to work for him every day. And, like I told Coach Stark, it's just a great hire. I really enjoy coming to work for him. I feel like, for us as a receiver core, we do have a lot of guys that have been here before, and 3 seniors. I feel like most importantly with the receiving core, through spring, summer, into fall, is that a lot of guys buy into, what we say as leaders. Me, JP, Jimmy, we tell them to do a thing, they're gonna go through the wall, and do that and some more, So I feel like, I guess being a leader is easy, telling them what to do, and them following our footsteps, and wanting to get better throughout these different seasons into fall, and the fall season will definitely make it easier for us. So,
well, there's CJ Windham, and it's always cool when there is a change and seeing the older guys buying in. Want to welcome in Brent Dearman, the Blue Raiders' new offensive coordinator. We were on this set back on signing day, Brent, and a lot of things have happened since then.
Yes, sir. It's been a great spring. Got to see the guys work out. Got to see the mat drills, see how hungry those guys were, and then we got into spring ball, and we had a great spring. Got to test out the new offense with some weapons around us, and it's been a real fun couple months here now.
Well, like I mentioned just a minute ago, and you watched that video with CJ and what he had to say, and for a guy who's been around here, this fall will be his 5th season playing, and for him to have the things that he said and the quick buy-in to what you're trying to install, I think that really trickles down to the younger players as well.
Anytime your leadership buys in, that's a great sign, and that's a great thing for your coaching staff. And, he's just one of those guys. We've got Jaron, CJ. We've got a lot of those older guys, Magwood up front, Will Gilchrist. All those seniors and juniors that have been through a lot have really done a good job of buying in, but also leading the guys around them to buy in as well. So we're really excited going into this summer and seeing how those guys lead this summer.
Yep. About the time you got here, of course, recruiting was finishing up, and then, like you said, got right into all the other with mat drills, and then right into spring ball. So they've been kind of going at it ever since they came back from Christmas break.
Yeah, we don't like giving those guys too much of a break. And when I was 18 to 22 years old, I didn't need much of a break either. I needed to be occupied with something. But, those guys have attacked every situation. They've attacked everything we've thrown at them. And we're really proud of what the product is right now. But, the telltale sign for every football team is what you do in the summer. When your coaches are not allowed to do much with you, what is that leadership group going to do this summer to prepare us for fall camp starting in August? As
you installed your offense, first of all, do you have a name for it, or just Brent's RPO offense?
The RPO system, gets everybody thinks that's all we do, but
right, that's why I'm asking.
That's a piece of it.
Yeah.
We probably RPO about 10 or 15% of the time. I want defensive coordinators to think every play's an RPO, but that's just a little piece of it. So I don't know if we've labeled a name for it. That may be something that Chip or our broadcasting team may come up with this fall. So
we'll let it name itself.
We just like to play fast. We like to play fast, and we like to throw multiple personnel groupings at the defense, and there's a lot of bells and whistles. If you've ever seen kind of that Auburn Gus Malzahn system, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there that we want to get.
There's a lot of eye candy.
Yeah, we want defense's eyes to be in the wrong gap.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully by the end of the year, we're calling it the touchdown offense. That would be
a great name.
That'd be a great name for it. Now, when what all you picked up with Gus, did your time at Auburn maybe change your perspective a little bit on offense and which direction you wanted to go as an offensive coordinator and a head coach?
Well, the two biggest mentors in my life are my dad, who was a 42-year high school offensive line coach, and as a young boy, I was able to draw up trap and veer and midline already as a quarterback, so that really shaped who I am. But then those 2 years of Coach Malzahn really shaped who we are. From the style of play to the type of offense that we run. It's a lot because of those 2 years that I spent with him there.
How much of the installation of it were you able to do in the classroom before you guys got on the field for spring ball? Was there a lot of, intense work there?
We probably put in about 4 or 5 days of install before we got to actual spring ball. So those guys had a pretty good base understanding. We were able to maybe walk or see things in advance for those first couple days. So what you find out in this game is about a week in, kids start swimming a little bit. So we wanted to eliminate that first 2 weeks of swimming in their mind a little bit. And I thought the kids did a really good job of learning those first 4 or 5 days of install.
Yep. Well, of course, when fans look at the offensive roster, they want to know who's going to be at quarterback, and there will be a new starter at quarterback at middle this year. And you've got some pretty good pieces and parts for competition going into fall camp.
I joke around with people a lot of times because, Coach Rick Stockstill was a quarterback. Brent Stockstill was a quarterback. I played quarterback. We've got 2 quarterbacks as well on staff as GAs with Josh Qualls, with Brady Moyers. So we've got 5 guys on staff that I think we're all out of eligibility, but I say, hey, we may be in the running as well. But we've got a great group between Chase Cunningham and Mike have both been here. We're bringing in Bailey Hogman, who had a great spring as well. So we're going to continue going into fall camp with a battle at the quarterback position. But all 3 of those guys showed great signs of what they can do, and they're all 3 different as well. So the offense will change a little bit based off who the guy is.
Bailey seemed to grasp more and more every time I walked out and watched a little practice. Chase looks like he's improved tons since we last saw him in the fall, which that's a credit to him.
Absolutely. Both of those 2 guys you just named, plus you throw Mike in there as well, they lived in the facility, and they were students of the game. They learned as much as they could, and they were able to translate those things out into the field once we get out there. And a little side note, Bailey will be the first left-handed quarterback that I've coached in 12 years. I told my wife a long time ago that it was tough to coach a lefty because it's different. It comes out of their hands different. And the Lord gave me a left-handed son as well. So I've got a 9-year-old boy that's a left-handed quarterback, so now I will be coaching 2 left-handed quarterbacks.
We've had a couple of pretty good lefties here.
I've seen that. I've seen a lefty, a couple left-handers on the wall.
Yep.
One probably in the Hall of Fame, and one's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. So we're hoping to continue that trend here.
Yep. Let's talk about the run game, because when we talk about your version of the RPO part of your offense, there's a reason that the R is first and it's not the PRO, it's the RPO, because you love to run the football.
I think it creates a mentality for your whole football team. I think your offensive line sets the personality of your team. If you've got a physical downhill offensive line, then I think your whole team is going to be physical. So we want to establish a good run game because we know it's going to open up the pass.
Now, you return a couple of good running backs, but you also are going to be able to insert 2 guys who sat out last year that bring a lot of credentials to the table.
Yes, with Amir and Martell there coming from Florida State and West Virginia. Those guys got a full spring underneath them. You saw great traits in both of them with them being able to run downhill, with them being able to run on the inside gaps. They got better in the pass protection, so we trust those guys in pass pro as well. So I think both of those 2 guys are going to have a role and really help us this fall.
And then when we talk about other position groups, wide receiver, we talked to C.J. Windham, but you and I were talking before we started this interview. Boy, you've got some really impressive weapons. You start thinking about everybody that's coming back on the receiver room that's going to be fun. There's going to be a fist fight to get on the field.
That the more you talk about all the weapons, the more the pressure it is on us offensive coaches. No, but we've got a great group between the big body guys, between CJ and Jimmy. Jimmy's another 6'5", 6'6" body that gives matchup issues. And then the slot receivers with Jaron, Yusuf, DJ, Jalen Lane had a great spring ball as well. So we've got guys that we've got to get on the football field, and we've got to find ways to get them at doing the best things that they do that help our football team.
Feel good about your line play?
Feel really good about it. We were able to take a couple transfers with Notori coming from Georgia, with Jamari coming from Arizona. That they brought some depth. They're helping us out big time, and we've got a converted tight end, one of the first times in the history of football that an O lineman converts to tight end. You usually see it the other way when a tight end eats too much and works his way in. But we've got a guy that's playing tight end H-back for us that understands blocking, that understands leverage, and Will Gilchrist, that's really going to help our football team because he was an all-conference offensive tackle in his life.
Yep. Well, a lot has been made not only of you coming, but the other Brent, in Brent Stockstill, and he's out on the practice field here for the first time being a position coach, and kind of give us the post-spring evaluation of your wide receiver coach.
You know, he brings it every day. He's a guy that he wears his hard hat every day. He clocks in every day. And the players respect him. Anytime you got a guy that did everything that he did for a program, that has the records that he has here, that was known as being a hard worker, was known as being a student of the game, and now he comes back, the respect that our players have for him, they listen. And most of coaching is based out of trust and respect. And when they trust you, they'll listen and they'll run through a wall for you. And those guys respect the heck out of Brent Stockstill, and he works his butt off.
Well, your guys are going to be working their tail off this summer. Matt Hickman's got a big job ahead, so I know you want. What do you want to see out of your guys? What's the marching orders between now and August for them?
You know, biggest thing, staying healthy. You want to go into August with all your weapons. You want to go into August with all your tools in your toolbox, pretty much. And you'd like them to be stronger. You'd like a little toughness. You like your strength coach and your O-line coach are the guys that have to instill toughness into your program. And you're wanting our guys to face a little adversity this summer, but you want them healthy.
All right, Brent, appreciate the time today, and can't wait to see it this fall.
Yes, sir. Can't wait to get there.
All right, Brent Dearman joining us today on the Spring Sports Show. We'll take a time out. More after this. The Blue Raiders Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by the Daily News Journal. Read all about Blue Raiders sports in the D&J, Rutherford County's first source for news, sports, and much more. By Lewis Bakeries, bakers of Bunny, Sunbeam, and Healthy Life breads. By Grannis & Associates, certified public accountants specializing in business and personal accounting and tax services. And by Lee Company. For your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical, Lee Company is the team to call. The Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by Tri-Green Equipment, your John Deere dealer for Middle Tennessee and North Alabama. By InterSource. If it's entertainment, it's InterSource. By MTSU, named one of the best in the U.S. by the Princeton Review for a second year in a row. Become True Blue. By R.J. Young, your go-to company for technology solutions that power your business. By Textbook Brokers and Lightning's Locker Room, the official game day provider powered by Textbook Brokers. And by State Farm agent Bud Morris. The Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by Ascension St. Thomas, the official hospital partner of MTSU. By Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, the #1 producing Exit Realty office in the United States. By Middle Tennessee Electric, your locally owned electric cooperative and trusted energy advisor. By the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, fans don't let fans drive drunk. By TOA, the official orthopedic coverage to Middle Tennessee Athletics. And by Roscoe Brown, the trusted name in heating, cooling, and plumbing. Welcome back into the Spring Sports Show presented by Kroger. And speaking of our title sponsor, the fine folks at Kroger took some time earlier this week to make a presentation to the Blue Raider Food Pantry here on the MTSU campus. Hey everybody, Chip Walters here from the Blue Raider Network. Glad to have you with us and doing one of my favorite things, and that's talking to one of our great partners. Today it is the Kroger Company, and also we have a great piece of MTSU, and that is the MTSU Food Pantry, and Danielle Rochelle is here representing them. But Alexa Allgood, the marketing manager for Kroger, is here with us. And Alexa, Kroger has been part of Blue Raider athletics for a long, long time. And here recently, we've worked together with a great partnership that helps out students at the university.
Yeah, Kroger is so excited about our partnership with the MTSU Food Bank. You know, MTSU has been a big part of the community, and Kroger is a big part of the community, and so we really feel that's a strong partnership between the two, and this is just an added bonus to be able to partner with the MTSU Food Bank and really give back to those students in the community. Kroger is very big on that, and so we're happy to partner with that. And as such, this year, we're excited to announce that we are donating $500 to the MTSU Food Bank to help out students in need.
That's right, $500. And Danielle, $500 can go a long, long way when you're trying to help students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that we're able to do with this type of a donation from Kroger is we are able to buy any food that we need for the students. We can also buy non-food items for students because a lot of times we think, okay, let's keep them fed. And while they may also be fed, there's other things they may need. So just basic hygiene items and household items. And with Kroger, we're able to make sure that we always have those things in stock.
And the challenges over the past year have been even greater than normal.
Oh, absolutely. I've definitely seen an increase in those non-food item needs. We make sure the students can get both at the same time. And no questions asked. If you're a student, we don't ask for proof of income or anything like that. If the university is open, the food pantry is open. And the same thing happened for when everything shut down last year. We made sure that we had pre-made bags of food for students to come and pick up. We always had one person in the office to greet students and make sure they can get those items.
All right, great partnership, Kroger, Blue Raider Athletics, and the MTSU Food Pantry. Alexa and Danielle, thank you so much.
Thank
you.
All right, thanks a lot to the fine folks at Kroger. And as we work into the defensive side of the ball, Coach Scott Shaffer will be joining me in just a second. But just as we did earlier in the show, let's hear from one of the great returning players on this fall's Blue Raider football team. Reid Blankenship has some thoughts on what's going into his second senior season.
We had a lot of young guys at linebacker and especially in our DB area, but you know, it was something that we knew that was going to happen during the spring. We had some of our starters get injured during the season, and we had some guys go down, I guess, the first, couple practices of spring. And so we knew that it was going to be a challenge of, learning the defense, playing with different guys, but everybody competed. Everybody, knew what they had to do. They grew up, and I was proud of them. Just the maturity level that we built up during the spring, it's going to carry over to the fall. I think all of our guys are, a tighter group. That's huge, and I just can't wait till the fall with a mature group. I think they already know. Spring really was an eye-opener for them, and they realized that they had to work to compete at the D1 level. They had to play smart, had to play fast, and they're just going to have that mindset going in the fall. It was a blessing. I told Stock, I said I was glad just to walk off the field Saturday, healthy, and can't wait till fall. So.
Well, we hope to have a lot of Saturdays with Reid Blankenship walking off the field after some victories. And pleased to welcome in Coach Scott Shaffer, the defensive coordinator for the Blue Raiders. And Shafe, first of all, thanks for spending some time with us today. Yeah. Reid Blankenship talked about it. He expects a hungry group coming back. What is it going to mean to have his leadership back for another year with a more mature, a group of guys who've gotten a year older?
Yeah, no doubt. And going into it, that's what we knew we had to do is continue to mature off the field. Just daily process, and that's what Reid was referring to there. You look at it, Greg Great obviously has played some good football with him. Greg was out, so he wasn't back there. So really it was just Reid and a bunch of guys that have played a little bit and some that haven't played at all.
Yeah. Tell folks kind of what you all were having to do in the defensive room during the month of, or late October into November when the season came to a close, as far as trying to mix and match pieces.
Yeah, well, we obviously had an unbelievable situation with the combination of the injuries, the legitimate injuries. We had some kids that had some torn labrums and had to have surgery, all legit. We also had the kids that were out with COVID and with contact tracing and whatnot. All of a sudden Coach Stock would walk by and say good morning, and then he'd walk by coming back the other way and be like, hey, you don't have any more linebackers, and walk away. And I was like, wait a minute. So we started teaching some D linemen. We called it the dagger package, and all the D linemen wanted to stand up. It's like a running back saying he's actually a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite. Easy, big boy. We need you, but you're not that important. So with those kids, they were all kind of fighting over who was going to get on the field, and I was like, look, we're just going to put it out there and see who competes and see where the cards lie. But Coach Gilstrap did a nice job. We charted every movement on the field with every player in the secondary, and we'd give points to them or take points away for the smallest thing. Hey, your shoe's untied, -1 point.
Yeah.
And so what it was just accountability.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Reid was excited about, as we did our exit meetings, was just that, we got some guys back there that are talented, like Jalen Jackson and Davon Martin, Quincy at times before he was all banged up. I mean, he had 2 picks in the North Texas game early, and I think there's just a lot of football to be played, and a lot of these kids are at that point where they're ready to take that next jump into the next level.
And when you look at it, and what I have here was this was what was supposed to be the depth chart for the UAB game that never happened, and just looking of who was going to be starting and where, and thinking about, okay, who's coming back, and really everybody that you were going to, everybody except, is Kylan Stribling coming back? No, he's not back.
No,
he and Rakavian Poydras are the only 2 on the 2 deep that are not back this year. So how does that, you're trying to, those guys have gotten older and more experienced, and you're mixing in new guys with them.
Yeah, well, it's a good mix. I think guys like DQ Thomas, he was at practice, in the meetings every day, and it got to the point where we were coaching the young guys, trying to teach Wayne Parks or Raekwon how to get lined up right, and as coaches, we're coaching them, and then all of a sudden you'll hear a good coaching point, and I'll look over thinking it's a coach, and all of a sudden it's DQ.
Yeah.
And they're coaching their teammates, and I think that's really a cool thing to see happen. It's a brotherhood. Those kids have all bought in together, and they were the little brothers looking at the big brothers, and those guys, they thought were going to graduate and go on, and now they're back, and it's kind of like a reunion. It's like, all right, last year wasn't what it was supposed to be, but we got another year to do this thing, and we caught the young guys up to speed, hopefully with the spring ball, and I think it could be a really neat season.
Yep. Let's kind of start looking at some position groups now.
Okay.
I'm going to call this the Jordan position group. That would be your guys up front. If you're not named Jordan, you can't play.
Yeah, that's right.
You've got Jordan Starling, Jordan Ferguson, Jordan Branch, and a cast of others after that, right?
Yeah, we sure do. And I think it's a good group. The Jordans that you just mentioned, we're excited about. Ferg has had a really good spring. He played both on the outside and on the inside a little bit, and he was very disruptive. We didn't tackle live at all during spring, so you never really know how good things were, up front and that sort of thing. But they were in the backfield and they were making plays, and Ferg was kind of leading the bunch. But after him, J.R. Bivens had a really good spring.
Yeah.
Dunnigan is working at it and doing a good job. He's like steady Eddie, and then all of a sudden Juju, he shows up the last 6 days, and they're saying he can go, and we put him out there, and all of a sudden it's like, what just ran by me? It was like a gust of wind. It was fresh legs, is what the teammates call it. They said, he's got fresh legs, coach. We're like, yeah, but he can run, man. Just trust me. And then he ran down that quarterback a couple times for TFL, and I was like, it's good to see he's back on the field. And then Richard Kinley.
Yeah.
He looks like a different guy. I mean, he's put on like 35 pounds. And
he looks good coming off the edge.
He does. He can bend. He can turn. He really does a good job getting his feet out on the track and turning his hips and feet at the same time. It's hard to do. You got to be a good athlete. We had Chandler Jones. It was a little bit taller guy, but like Chandler, Richard can turn that. He can turn that foot on a dime and still come up and make a tackle. And I'm excited to see what he's going to be.
Let's move it back and give me a couple minutes on the linebacker crew.
Sure. The linebacker crew going into spring ball, we knew it was kind of our backup linebackers, our 2s and 3s, because the starters were, they all had.
They were healing.
They're healing. They had surgery in the off season, and they're doing well. I think Butler and DQ feel like their shoulders are good. Coming back, JD. I mean, all 3 of those guys started. Not full time with JD, but the other ones. So it'll be great to get those guys back. But to answer your question, it was like, okay, who are these young guys, and what do we think of them? And jumping right out of the gate, Devin Curtis did a great job. I mean, he is a young man that is beyond his years. I mean, he can step in that huddle and take charge, and he needs to pick up his voice a little bit at times, but for the most part, he's in there telling them what's up, and when he makes a mistake, he'll look at the corner of the eye of you. He'll look at you out of the corner of his eye, and be like, Coach, I know I screwed that up.
So he acknowledges.
Yeah,
that's good.
And a lot of kids, they're all over the place. Freshmen, they're like, what? But he was not that way.
Yeah.
And you need that in the middle. And then Andrew Leak was probably a little bit more the other way. He's calling Rip Liz and Liz Rip when it was the other way around. And the kids are looking at him like, well, which is it, right or left? And that's part of being young. And the good news is, as we spoke a while back, is, when's a kid learn the most? When he makes a mistake. Mm-hmm. And when they have to come back from that mistake and show a little bit of grit. And that's what I like with this group here. Cody's a kid that just keeps fighting his way into the lineup, I think getting Jalen back at that position and Drew Francis is going to be a damn good football player too.
Yeah.
And both those kids are big kids.
Yep. And we kind of started talking about the secondary when we started, but we'll kind of wind up with them.
Okay.
You got a ton of experience back there. Mm-hmm. With Reid back healthy, and Greg Great had a terrific year. Yeah. A lot of other names that folks have said, I've heard those names before.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that, obviously. And what we did this spring with the injuries was we actually took a couple of the kids that were playing corner and moved them to safety to see how they could do. And one kid, Teldrick Ross, he did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And he knows you got Greg, you got Blankenship there, but he's like, who's the next guy? Because I think Marve Glover was a kid that you guys, it's a damn shame, didn't get to see play much in the spring. He got hurt. And he's going to be a damn good player, but he had a real bad knee injury. So that depth chart just went like that.
Yeah.
And those corners were like, well, Coach, I can learn this one. And I was like, all right, unselfish, I like this. So we played around with that. And then on the outside, I think we all know Quincy Riley's got great ability. He's done some good things, and he's healthy finally. And then DeCorin Patterson was out, another starter that was out all spring. So that gave us a chance to really get a feel for how Jalen Jackson was going to compete now that he was on top of the depth chart. And let me tell you, he had a great spring. And Blankenship, he usually wins all the points.
Yeah.
Jalen had him.
Oh, really?
It came down to the wire. And I believe Jalen actually won by a point. And we're going to have to discuss that when COVID restrictions are all gone, because I serve a big steak for the winter, and those guys are ready to fight over it. So now I think you got Jalen. He was a puppy. Now he's a bulldog, and really fired up about him. And Davon Martin's going to be good, and little Dietrich Stanley, he's got some bite to him too, and He did a nice job playing the nickelback. So, we're excited. We get a couple of these transfer kids in the loop too that we can't talk about yet, but that's going to make things even better. So we're excited to go out there and put a good product on the field.
Well, I'll tell you, with spring ball done, and you've got camps coming up. It looks like you're finally going to be able to get off campus and recruit a little bit. Yeah. So take a breath.
Yeah.
And we'll be ready to go and look forward to fall camp. Shafe, thanks so much for coming by.
You got it. Thank you.
All
Chip.
right. Blue Raider defensive coordinator Scott Shaffer joins us. We'll take a timeout and more to come on the Spring Sports Show presented by Kroger. The Blue Raiders Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by the Daily News Journal. Read all about Blue Raiders sports in the D&J, Rutherford County's first source for news, sports, and much more. By Lewis Bakeries, bakers of Bunny, Sunbeam, and Healthy Life breads. By Grannis & Associates, certified public accountants specializing in business and personal accounting and tax services. And by Lee Company. For your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical, Lee Company is the team to call. The Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by Tri-Green Equipment, your John Deere dealer for Middle Tennessee and North Alabama. By InterSource. If it's entertainment, it's InterSource. By MTSU, named one of the best in the U.S. by the Princeton Review for a second year in a row. Become True Blue. By R.J. Young, your go-to company for technology solutions that power your business. By Textbook Brokers and Lightning's Locker Room, the official game day provider powered by Textbook Brokers. And by State Farm agent Bud Morris. The Spring Sports Show is brought to you in part by Ascension St. Thomas, the official hospital partner of MTSU. By Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, the #1 producing Exit Realty office in the United States. By Middle Tennessee Electric, your locally owned electric cooperative and trusted energy advisor. By the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, fans don't let fans drive drunk. By TOA, the official orthopedic coverage to Middle Tennessee Athletics. And by Roscoe Brown, the trusted name in heating, cooling, and plumbing.
Murfreesboro Medical Clinic is proud to be the official medical group of MTSU Athletics. We all win big when we work as a team for better health. Just like MTSU's athletes and coaches, our healthcare professionals work tirelessly to make our community proud. At MMC, we really are true blue. MTSU is our hometown team, and your health is our mission. Visit mmclinic.com or call us at 615-893-4480.
Welcome back into the Spring Sports Show presented by Kroger, our final segment of the year on the Spring Sports Show. Chip Walters here and welcoming back in Coach Rick Stockstill, the head football coach of the Blue Raiders. And as we get ready to go through the summertime with your guys, you touched on it a little bit in the segment earlier, but they're winding up exams right now. What's your plan for them between now and when fall camp starts in August?
Well, we'll have a good, in the summer, Chip, you're allowed 8 hours a week, or the players are allowed 8 hours a week to and lift and run. 2 of those hours could be used for meeting time with your coaches. But through the month of June, I've always devoted all 8 hours to the weight room because we're busy as coaches. That now we're allowed to have camps, this year, throughout the month of June. So I always give the strength coaches 8 hours during the course of the week. So they'll get 8 hours of lifting and running. They'll throw. A lot of the throwing and catching they do will be on their own. That'll be voluntary. And then starting about the middle of July, then we'll start using that 2 hours a week as coaches with players for meetings. But just, again, to really get in the best shape of their life, physically strong, physically in shape, and then endurance-wise that, they're ready to, to compete once we get in August. And as a football player, when you report in August, you're never in football shape because that leaning your 300-pound body on another man and, the stress of fighting and pushing and leaning on people, you have to work your way into shape. But, just to get in the best shape where, we limit the soft tissue injuries as much as we can.
You have a great feel for the 50,000-foot view of recruiting and how last year's situation, what's being allowed with seniors to come back for an extra year. On our radio show, I think the last radio show we had, you talked about the high school class of 2021, that it's kind of a tough deal for them as they move forward. Now you guys are going to have camps. You're going to be allowed to go off campus starting July 1st or June 1st, somewhere right in there. But what does that mean as far as the funnel of kids coming out of high school and all of that? How has it changed the recruiting landscape?
Well, obviously, you know, not being able to go out and recruit last year, and then high school kids not being allowed to come on your campus affected them. But this transfer portal, Chip, to me has had a bigger impact on high school kids than not being able to evaluate them in person, because, you know, there's so many. We get notifications every day. There's 50 to 75 new guys a day going in the portal. You know, so college coaches are looking at that to fill maybe immediate needs or 2-year needs, you know, as opposed to signing a high school kid and developing him. You know, so I think I worry about the transfer portal affecting the high school kids as much as anything. But this will give us an opportunity to recruit and evaluate the 22 class, and it'll give those 22 kids a chance to get on campus and evaluate colleges. And I think this summer colleges are going to get bombarded, because none of these kids have been able to go to a camp and show themselves for over a year and a half now. And I just think the month of June is going to be the wild, wild west. Yep. They're coming from everywhere.
Now, 2 points. Number one, it does not change your 25 scholarship limit. Does not change that. Also, there are over 3,000 kids in the transfer portal. There are not that many landing spots.
No, there's going to be thousands of guys that don't have a place to go compared to the ones that do have a place to go. And, you know, you tell your players, you tell your team, we all do as coaches, that, you know, the grass is still green wherever you go. And I get it. Sometimes you're behind a guy and you're a senior, and I just want to play. I want to play my last year, and I know I'm not going to play, you know, because this guy's in front of me. I get it. You know, you may have a home issue that you want to get closer to home. I get it. But just understand that, you know, just because you put your name in that portal doesn't mean that somebody's sitting there waiting to reel you in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things, you know, it'll be interesting to see how it gets tweaked to where, you know, maybe it takes a year of education for these guys. I don't know, but hopefully that gets to where it's not, like you said, the wild, wild west. As we look into the 2021 season, it's kind of interesting. Your opening opponent on Labor Day weekend is going to be Monmouth, and they are a FCS program that played a 4-game schedule this year, and those dudes put up some points and beat some good teams. They were 3-1, I think, this spring.
They a really good team. You know, nobody around here knows anything about them because of the name, but you know, they were number 3 in the country in FCS this year. They got beat either in the second round, I think it was, of the playoffs by Sam Houston. I think it was that beat them. You know, so and then Sam Houston just knocked off North Dakota State. So it's a really, really good football team. Don't be fooled by their name. They got really good players, and they've been perennially, consistently good, you know, for the last 7, 8, 10 years.
The rest of your non-conference schedule, and, you know, the month of September, you guys are going to rack up some frequent flyer miles. You go to Virginia Tech. You've got road games at UTSA and Charlotte. Come home for Marshall. Then you go to Liberty and Connecticut back-to-back. So your non-conference schedule is pretty doggone tough.
Yeah, and you know, it's really not anything different than we're used to. You know,
yeah.
It's you know, so but you know, like I always say, you know, we're worried about Monmouth right now, and then we'll get ready for, you know, Virginia Tech or whoever's next. But it's a very challenging schedule. But Chip, I'm telling you, our team is going to be ready. We're excited about it, and just can't wait to get out there and start playing.
Conference schedule, like we mentioned, first 2 are on the road, and you know the schedule is not kind to you early, but if you can fight through that first half of the schedule, kind of turns a little bit your way, but you got to play them all no matter where they are anyway.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, again, we got to stay healthy. That's always a key. You got to get some breaks, but you know, it's I like our team coming back, Chip. I like our attitude right now. I like where we're at. You know, we're not there yet. We got, like I said earlier, we got a couple pieces that we still got to improve on and get better. But I'm fired up about this team.
What about the league this year? I mean, you've been on conference calls and Zoom calls with your fellow coaches, and they've all had to go through the same things that you have. I think Conference USA has a chance to be pretty doggone strong this fall with so many really good players coming back.
Yeah, and again, I don't know who everybody's got coming back because, you know, we haven't seen anything. But, you know, Old Dominion didn't play last year, so they've had a year. You think about it, they had a whole year to get bigger and stronger and get healthy. You know, FIU only played 4 games, I think, you know. So, you know, this league is always competitive. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. There's great coaches in this league, and there's great players in this league.
Last year we were limited on just about everything, whether it was your own team, whether it was fans in the stands, the kind of concessions you could buy at the concession stand. This year it looks like things are working toward being as normal as possible. What does that mean to you, and what is it going to mean to your players to be able to look up Labor Day weekend and see a whole lot of fans in the stands? And
yeah,
it's important, I think, for folks to all get back to normal.
No
and
question.
Pull the same rope.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Chip. And just, you know, I've had a bunch of our current players. You know, we finished spring practice a week ago, and then I met with exit interviews, met with each one of them, and you know, probably half of them said, do you think we'll be able to have full capacity, you know, at games next year? And I said, they haven't decided that yet, but it's moving that way. And just for them to know that their parents, their family, their friends can come watch them play and you know, not be scared or restricted by
I'm ready to not walk on eggshells.
Yeah, you know, so it's important, and I know that, you know, once that happens, all our fans will come out and support these guys because they've been through a lot, and everybody has this last year. And, you know, we're just anxious to get out there and play. And like I said earlier, I really like our team, Chip. I like our team right now, and we'll continue to work this summer, these next 3 or 4 months, and be ready to go September.
That's right. And May is a big month for renewal and season ticket purchases. And if you go to GoBlueRaiders.com, you'll find out all kinds of things they're doing, prizes, if you get your renewals or your new purchases in during the month of May. Stock, appreciate the time. As we wrap up, we want to first of all check out what's going on in Blue Raider country this weekend as FIU or softball is back on the road. They will be taking on FIU in Murfreesboro this weekend for a big conference series. As you can see there, baseball is on the road at Southern Miss, so back-to-back weekends against really good teams. There you see on Saturday the men's tennis regional coming up as both the men's tennis and men's golf programs are headed to the NCAA regionals, and on Sunday it'll be baseball and softball wrapping up their series and more tennis coming up. The golf regional will be coming up starting on May the 17th. All right, want to thank everybody who joined us this fall. Ryan Tyler's been our outstanding producer, and his crew that he had put together for 5 shows during this spring. Want to thank everybody who has watched and really get ready to be loud, be proud, and be blue at the football stadium this weekend. Labor Day weekend will be the first week of football. Hope to see everybody out tailgating and talk it up this summer as we get ready for another Blue Raider football season. Thanks for being with us, and good night.